Hey, I'm Greg from Greater Orlando Realty, and back to the GMANN Show in 2023. We've got a great show coming your way. I've got a fantastic guest this morning, Marty Kaiser. Happy New Year. How was your Christmas?
Oh, it was really good, Greg, and Happy New Year to you as well.
Thank you so much. You know, later on we got at the Mortgage Minute, but for now, let me and you talk about the new market, how it's switching. It's changing from a seller's market to maybe a buyer's market. I'm not even sure. You tell me.
Well, yeah, we've had a dramatic adjustment. Probably started around the summertime this year, May, June, and the biggest thing is we had such a runaway appreciation for the period of about a year and a half or 2 years that, of course, sellers were expecting huge gains on their investment, and then buyers were kind of buying from they had to make a decision quickly because inventory was lacking, prices were going up daily, so there was a lot of pressure on buyers. So it was a very hectic environment. And then between inflation and the interest rates going up rapidly, they've pretty much doubled in the last 6 months. It's created a new dynamic. So it's what you referred to as a transition. So we've made a rapid transition, which is always challenging as opposed to a gradual transition.
Surely is.
So people's expectations and perceptions are not on the same wavelength.
So what are buyers thinking against what are sellers thinking? I mean, they're obviously at different polar opposites now.
Well, buyers, I put buyers in a couple categories. You basically have first-time buyers. First-time buyers were probably affected the most because they were getting approved with their lender at, let's say, a 3% interest rate. So they had a certain amount of buying power. All of a sudden, the rates are at 6-7%, and they were either out of the market or could buy far less, and many times far less wasn't either the size of the home or an area that they were comfortable purchasing in. So they were kind of perplexed. Sellers, on the other hand, saw their neighbor's house sell for a huge price, and now 6 months later, it might not sell for the same price, and they might feel their house was nicer than their neighbor's.
Yeah.
So it's a question of adjusting people's reality with their perception.
Okay.
And it puts even more challenge and emphasis in the realtor. A good experienced realtor has gone through a lot of market adjustments over the years. You know, I myself got a few gray hairs now, so I saw this happen to a lesser degree in 2005 to 7.
Yep.
And so we're not experiencing exactly the same dynamic, but some similarities.
So you've been in Hunters Creek selling real estate 25 years, Hunters Creek, Lake Nona. Hunters Creek is a really sought after neighborhood area. So it's really affecting you there as well as anywhere else, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. What I'm finding most is two things. We still don't have a lot of inventory. So that's had one impact on prices not going down that much, comparatively speaking. The other thing that's really changed, and I've seen this not only in Hunters Creek but other popular neighborhoods, is houses that you and I would call average houses. Nothing wrong with them, but nothing superb about them. You know, 6-8 months ago, they were still selling in 3 days, selling for a premium price. Mm-hmm. So the sellers saw that, and they priced their house accordingly right now, and now the house is sitting.
Yeah.
And so the realtor's in a quandary. I myself, for better or worse, I'm pretty much on point with somebody, so I don't sugarcoat things. I give them my opinion as opposed to telling them what they want to hear. But I have a lot of factual data along with my experience, and I've seen most of the homes, so I feel pretty confident in my opinion. So some sellers don't like hearing that. So they may hold off listing their house, or occasionally they'll go with a competitor of mine that tells them something a lot more favorable that's not realistic.
No, I see that a lot actually, not just with you, but with other agents now. One thing I want to talk about, because I think this is super important. I think this is where you've got an edge on everybody else. You have a blueprint for sellers and a blueprint for buyers. So can we talk about the seller's blueprint? What is that about?
Sure. Well, I've always felt it's very important to establish, obviously, a one-on-one rapport with customers. Everybody's situation is different, whether it's their house, their location, their job situation, their relocation plans, whatever the case may be. So once I know that information, then I can give them a specific plan of action on how to best accomplish their goals. And everybody, of course, thinks of the highest price, but that's only one component. There's other things that might take place. Maybe somebody's having financial problems, so I might price the home differently. Maybe somebody has a roof problem. There's a lot of different variables that come into play here, so it's my job to try to, in a concise, complete fashion, give the customer an exact blueprint of the things that we should and shouldn't do to maximize their position.
So they know what to expect getting into it. They understand that there's going to be issues because of this, and this. We'll talk about insurance later on, but there are a lot of things that come into a price for someone to list their home. Condition and price always go hand in hand. So how do you deal with someone that's got a home that's not in great condition, but they want top dollar?
That's always a challenge. You know, when you're discussing things from my perspective that are not positives, you try to bring them up, but you don't want to insult the person, of course, because many sellers have pride of ownership, and or they don't maybe agree with what I'm saying, and or if you've lived in a house for 10 years, you tend to overlook a lot of things because you're comfortable there.
Yes.
But we know from a real estate perspective the things that are going to impact the time on the market and their ultimate yield. So I try in a nice fashion to explain to them, first impression is crucial. It's just like when you meet me, Greg, if you don't like my personality or the way I look at you, or whatever the case may be in the first 60 seconds, you're probably not going to hire me as your broker.
Yeah.
By the same token, when somebody walks into a home, if that first impression is very negative, it's hard to overcome that even if the house has a lot of virtues.
Yeah.
So it's my job to try to educate the sellers on things they can improve without having to take a loan out to make their house more marketable.
You know, one thing I always found difficult to talk to a seller about, you walk through that door on your initial visit to discuss the house, and there's that weird smell. Could be cooking, could be the pet, could be the husband, who knows, but there's a weird smell. How do you tackle that? I always found that very difficult.
Right. I agree totally. At some point in the conversation, depends on what the smell is created by. If it's just kind of a musty odor, then I'll discuss that in a nice way and suggest air fresheners, etc. And those will usually have some benefits. If it's a pet odor, that's a bigger issue for two reasons. Number one, people may be allergic to pets or they just really can't stand the odor. Secondly, people love their pets.
Yes.
And they don't feel they have a pet odor in the house.
No.
And it's unfortunately a big negative if you're not a pet owner, especially if you have kind of what I call a mangy dog, or maybe you've had a cat that's unfortunately urinated on the carpet at some point. Those are big issues, and that you have to address them.
Well, they're all issues that you encounter on a day-to-day basis, and I know you do a fantastic job with it. So how does someone get hold of you, Marty, if they want to list their house in Hunters Creek, Lake Nona? How do they get hold of you?
Well, the easiest way is they can reach me on my cell phone via text or phone at 407-595-9700, or they can always email me at marty@floridasells.com.
Perfect, thanks. Hey, we'll be right back to the GMANN Show. We have the Mortgage Minute. Thanks for listening. See you soon.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
Hey, welcome back to the GMANN Show. Here with Laura Collins from First International Title. Laura, tell me what you do, tell me how you do it, and tell me how people get hold of you.
Thank you. I am Laura Collins with First International Title. My phone number is 314-265-9000. And I always appreciate a text to get to know me. I am one of the sales reps for the downtown office of First International Title. We do have 37 offices, and I represent our downtown office and Waterford Lakes office. One of the things about me with my clients are realtors and loan officers mostly, and anybody that's selling their house, they get to choose their title company. And so that's why a lot of people depend on their realtors to choose their title company, and that's why they're my clients. I have worked at Disney for 20 years, and anybody that works with me is going to have that kind of customer service that Disney has instilled in me. I love to help, I love to be available, and I want to make sure that they are growing their business, and it is about them.
So you'll do open houses, you'll go to offices, you'll help agents build their business, all with a cheerful smile. How do people get hold of you?
You can, again, get a hold of me, 314-265-9000.
Hey, welcome back to the GMANN Show. I've got Marty Kaiser here. We're still talking real estate. We're talking buyers. Buyers are so important to every single market. Without a buyer, there's not a seller. So, Marty, welcome back.
Thanks,
How's
Greg.
it been? How's things?
Great, thank you. I'm excited. It's a new year. Got a lot of energy. Get off running and stay strong.
Perfect. Good. Now, tell me this. We've talked about a transition year. So buyers are going to be in the market thinking of getting deals, getting a bargain. You've got a blueprint for sellers. You've also got a blueprint for buyers. Tell me about the blueprint for buyers, because I think it's really important you have like a whole team around them, I figure.
Well, buyers is a little bit more informationally based. Of course, a lot of it depends upon the buyer's position in life, meaning are they a first-time buyer, are they an experienced buyer, or are they an investor? Investors, pretty much, you just need to get their criteria and see if you align what their expectations are with what you feel is realistic. First-time buyers require the most time, and they're the most rewarding because you're able to let somebody achieve their goal and objective of owning a home. But because they're inexperienced with it, a lot of the variables they're not familiar with. So you really have to establish a rapport with them. You know, one of the first things, of course, is to verify what type of mortgage they're qualified for. And that's always a sensitive topic, so I don't bring that up necessarily first because people don't like you digging into their finances.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's a very important criteria. Secondly, is the typical buyer's expectations. Commute time to work, school systems if they have children, lifestyle adjustments, all the things that go into it. What size home you want, what upgrades do you have to have.
Yeah.
But it all relates back to what price range can they afford. So that all ties in together. And some things you're going to spend more time on with buyers to make sure that they're in sync with you on what their expectations and knowledge is. And I feel it's crucial that you and the buyers establish a rapport. It's like a short-term marriage, I always say.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, you're going to be working with them anywhere from 2 weeks to a year.
Yes.
And so they need to understand why you're suggesting things and what the things are that you're looking for based on their criteria.
So you've got this perfect buyer, first-time buyer, second-time buyer, whatever it is, they're qualified, ready to go. You know the criteria. You've found several homes to show them. They find the perfect home. You've now got to structure the offer. And there's more to an offer than just the price. So how do you kind of go through that process with the buyer?
Well, there's a lot of variables with that. So I'm probably overly anal, as I say. So I've done a lot of preparatory work before I sit down with the buyer to discuss structuring an offer. So for example, how long has that seller owned the home? What purchase price did they pay for it? How much do they own the home? How long has the home been on the market? And how strong is that neighborhood? So those are the things that I start off with. Then I also start off with how many other choices are out there for the buyer. If the buyers looked with me, let's say for 2 months, and they've looked at 40 homes, and this is the first one they really liked, I might give them a different suggestion. I also then need to discuss the normal things like inspection periods, what an inspector's looking for, a termite inspection. If there's any other inspections they need, most homes now you need a 4-point inspection, which relates to the roof and plumbing and electrical, etc. How quickly does the buyer want to close? What size deposit we're going to utilize. There's just a lot of things that go into an offer. And my suggestions are going to vary based on the property, the location, and the buyer's particular situation.
So one thing you brought up there was the 4-point inspection, the wind mitt. A lot of people may not understand what that is, but it's a crucial thing now for older homes because we are struggling to get insurance on these properties, which actual fact can really blow a deal because if there's a loan involved, can't get insurance, there's no purchase. Tell me what's happening with, what do you see on the streets with insurance and homeowners insurance?
Well, insurance is probably one of the top 2 or 3 challenges we deal with on any residential transaction where the roof is past a certain age. The insurance industry in Florida, and pardon me for saying this, is in a state of complete chaos. The people that regulate insurance in Florida have done a horrible job. This is not a new thing, it's just continually getting worse. And perception is the legislature and the governor or whatever make these modifications, but they really have had little impact and have not really helped the consumers. So when I'm showing a person a house that they really like, and let's say the roof is anywhere from maybe 13 to 19 years old, the roof is could be a particular issue. So I explain this to the buyers. I even suggest before we contract that they make a couple calls to some insurance companies, and I'll give them names of people I recommend, just so they have a better understanding. Because if I tell somebody this, it doesn't have the impact as an insurance company telling them this.
Sure.
And it may or may not blow up a deal. A lot of it's going to depend too on if that seller has been educated by their agent on the roof being an issue for them selling the house, and what solutions can that seller offer to make sure the deal goes to closing. So it's crucial.
No, it really is. Polybutylene pipe's an issue. If you got the older roof and the polybutylene, good luck getting insurance, I would say. Once you've got past the insurance issue, you're under contract, you've done your inspections, now what happens? You're moving forward to closing. How are you coaching the buyer as you go through that process?
Well, a couple of things, and the lenders probably told them this too. The buyer should not take on any new debt.
Yes.
That's crucial. Assuming they've approved the inspection, then I've educated them about the appraisal. You never are overly confident the appraisal is going to come in. I do my best to give them my assessment of the house's true value and how that should relate to an appraisal. But appraisals are subjective. You might get 3 appraisers looking at the same house with 3 different values.
Yes.
So as a buyer's agent, it's not my job to help the appraiser.
Nope.
So I can't influence them at all. If I'm a seller's agent, it's a different issue on how I try to work in hand with the appraiser. So I do try to educate them on that. We try to put clauses in the contract that should, for some unlikely reason, we get a negative appraisal, the buyer has options.
Yes.
And if we can't renegotiate, so to speak, the buyer always would have the option of canceling then. I try to make sure that in a normal market, the buyer's deposits never at risk due to anything that we've done in structuring their offer.
And that's what I like a lot. I see a lot of deals come across my desk where people are giving up escrow deposits. I've just seen one for $50,000, primarily because it was an outside agent's mistake. So you're protecting the buyer at every single step through the process. You've helped them find the house, you've gone through inspections, they've got financing, they've got insurance, they've closed on the property. Super happy buyer, super happy customer. How does the next customer get hold of you to buy a home with you, Marty?
Well, the best ways are 2 ways. My phone number, which they can either call or text, is 407-595-9700. And my email address is marty@floridasells.com.
So let me tell you this, if you want to get the best agent in Hunters Creek or Lake Nona to work with you, call Marty. He's a super, super good guy, knows his stuff inside out. Thanks for watching the G-MANN Show. We'll be right back.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
Hey, welcome back to the G-MANN Show. My name's Greg Mann, broker owner of Greater Orlando Realty. I'm here today at the Mortgage Minute with Sonia Hishimi from Edge Home Finance. Sonia, happy 2023. Hope your 2022 closed well.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much for asking. It's amazing.
Well, I'll tell you what I want to talk about today, because shift in market, interest rates changing. 2023 means a lot for a new buyer, but how can a buyer position themselves well? Because I know credit score drives a lot of things that are related to interest rates. So can you tell us how that works with a buyer?
Yes, absolutely. In 23, I have a lot more buyers coming, calling me now, ready for the new year, hoping to become homeowners. And obviously, credit is one of the biggest part in lending. What I would always tell my realtors and my buyers is to plan it ahead of time. If you know you're going to be renting a property, do you want to be in that property next year? And if you want to be a homeowner by next year, let's plan it way in advance. Let's make sure the credit score is, I can do a soft pull so it doesn't hurt the credit. Look at the credit, see where it needs to repair, and the credit scores where we like to be to get the best interest rate for them as well. Part of that is having lower limits on their trade lines. So we prefer them to have 3 trade lines with as long as possible. The length of the trade line is very important to see, because a lender wants to see how long have you been paying on time.
So when you say trade line, this for the layman like myself, does that mean a credit card? Does that mean a loan from someone else?
It could be either or. It could be a line of, so basically a line of your credit. How long have you had it? It's a credit card or a car loan, or any kind of credit that's reported to credit bureaus where they keep track of it long term to see how your payment history is.
Got you. So let's just talk about credit cards. If you've had a credit card for 10 years and you've always been on top of it, paying it well, it's showing a long-term control of that credit card, that's better for your credit. If you've got a card you've just opened and you're being a bit willy-nilly with it, maybe that's going to negatively affect you.
Yes, absolutely. So I tell them, just think of it in a logical sense, as if you're letting anyone borrow money, you want to see how long they've had it. So if you've had it for a few months, they can't see, do you pay on time on long-term basis. So keep your long-term credit cards active. Do not delete them until you talk to someone. So keep your long-term credit cards. Don't open new credit necessarily unless you're advised to do so. Don't go buy a vehicle. A lot of people get excited when they're in the mood of buying and they go out and do big purchases right before.
Especially in the new year too. Now, really quickly, if your credit score as a consumer is not good and you're talking to them, can you help them fix it?
Absolutely. So I have partners that do credit repair as a career, as what they do. So in certain situations I would want to refer to them. Other times I can do it myself as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Sonia, how does the new buyer get hold of you to get their loan in application at least?
So my phone number is 407-403-8658 and my website is loanswithsonia.com.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm Greg Mann from Greater Orlando Realty. You can contact me on 407-774-9858. My website is gorent123.com. I'll be right back with a featured property, so hang around.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
I'm Greg Mann from Greater Orlando Realty and welcome back to the GMANN Show. Today we have a featured property. If you want to go and see our rentals, go to gorent123.com. Let me tell you about this latest listing we have in Sanford. It's 2830 Central Drive, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, super nice condition, located close to everything, really nice touches, new paint, new flooring, new kitchens, new bathrooms, the whole shebang. And you can rent that for $17.50. So if you want to see that property or others, go to gorent123.com. Appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the GMANN Show.